All right, guys, it looks like we are live. Come on in, one and all. Great to have you guys. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. We're almost there, almost to the weekend. Let me know that the sound is all right, that you hear me okay. And it's great to have you. It's great to be with my fellow Neanderthals and to celebrate with you the freedom that we're breathing in our nation today as the dam is officially broken. Red states across the nation are declaring the COVID restriction mandates finally over. They are over once and for all in increasing number of states. So God bless Florida and South Dakota, who led the way originally, never imposing any state mandates. And now red state after red state is following suit. You had Texas and Mississippi the other day sort of leading the way for lifting the restrictions and the mandates, and now red states. I mean, the dam is broken. Red states are following suit all over the place. We're seeing a massive revolt among red states against Biden's COVID extremism. So come on in, one and all. Great to see you guys. Neanderthals had bigger brains. I love it. Very good. Oh, so good to see you guys. So good to see you. Now, before we start, hey, guys, big invitation tonight. You know, we're going to talk a bit about what's going on, but then we're going to take it on over to our other platform, our platform where there is a censorship-free air that you get to breathe. And that's going to be on our live online Q&A tonight, March 4th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we have as our special guest, Chris Cox. He's the founders of Bikers for Trump. Chris is absolutely awesome, and he's going to be with us for an hour, and you're invited to attend, and you get to ask him your questions. We hold these live Q&A. Hey, thanks, Robert. The only doctor I look forward to seeing. Well, thank you, sir. Very appreciated. With patients like this, right? But we do these Q&As every Thursday night and Monday nights as well, and we've got some of the most exciting leaders in the new conservative patriot movement going on all over the world. And they're all exclusive for our Insiders Club members. It's our Insiders Club members who get access to them, and you get to ask them your questions. Now, if you're not a part of my Insiders Club, no problem. All you got to do is just click on that link below, and you can sign up. And as a special incentive, you get your first week absolutely free. All right? No obligation. We want you there tonight to ask Chris your questions. He's so awesome. It's going to be great conversation tonight. So we do this every week. You get a live Q&A, and it's a great way to get acquainted with our censorship-free Insiders Club and fellowship with thousands of conservatives all over the world, patriots all over the world. We've got amazing guests. We've got Chris, of course, tonight. We got Dick Morris next week. We've got Sebastian Gorka the week following. We've had David Horowitz with us. We've had Doug Mastriano, the state senator in Pennsylvania. We've had Daniel Miller of Texas fame, president of the Texas Nationalist Movement. So you're not going to, gang, you're not going to get an opportunity like this again to be able to sit down and talk with some of the biggest, brightest leaders of the new conservative patriot movement going on all over the world. So our Insiders Club is your backstage pass to having direct access to these leaders. So make sure to click on that link below and become an Insiders member. Hey, Terry, 60-year-old blessing today. Is that your birthday, Terry? Well, God bless you. Happy birthday. It's my sister's birthday today, March 4th. And my best friend, my best man at my wedding. So March 4th is a blessed day. So make sure you click on that link below, become an Insiders member, get your first week absolutely free. And I'll see you tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for our live Q&A with Chris Cox of Bikers for Trump. All right, gang, I came across a great article I want to share with you. It's written by Libby Emmons. She's over at the Post Millennial. It's just so good because it just summarizes things so well. The title is States Do Battle with Biden Administration Over COVID Lockdowns and Mask Mandates. But it's the subtitle that I really like. Check out the subtitle. The more the Biden administration tightens its grip, the more states will slip through its fingers. Isn't that wonderful? The more the Biden administration tightens its grip, the more states will slip through its fingers. So here's how she begins. And I'm going to read a little bit and give some commentary. Governors in several red states have spoken and have lifted their COVID restrictions on business and school closures, as well as the mask mandate that Biden requested to be in effect at least for his first 100 days in office. No, thank you. No, thank you. We don't do mask mandates from on high from the federal. Thanks, Yvonne. We don't do mask mandates from Washington, D.C. Sorry, but I go on. I digress. He could go back to his nap schedule. Florida and South Dakota led the way in refusing to instigate lockdowns at all, but now Texas, Mississippi, and now a number of other states are following suit. The Biden administration is not happy with this. President Biden said that those who were engaging in reopening were partaking in Neanderthal thinking. Neanderthal thinking, while White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, she's so funny, Jen Psaki accused the governors of, you guessed it, ignoring science. You're ignoring science, you bad governors, named Neanderthals. Sorry, Psaki. We don't even have to circle back on this one, okay? Perhaps you missed the report, and this is something I wanted to share with you. A report published by Newsweek back on January 14th this year. And here I'll just read a portion of the report for you. And again, this is, gang, remember, this is Newsweek, okay? This isn't Breitbart. This isn't the Gateway Pundit. This is new. This is as mainstream media as you can get. Ready? This is Newsweek. Thanks, Curtis. Proud Neanderthal here. That's right. Neanderthals unite. When did we all learn how to type? Here's this report on this study from Newsweek. A study evaluating COVID-19 responses around the world found that mandatory lockdown orders early in the pandemic may not provide significantly more benefits to slowing the spread of the disease than other voluntary measures, such as social distancing or travel reduction. So did you hear that? So the study evaluating COVID-19 response found that mandatory lockdown orders in the pandemic may not provide significantly more benefits to slowing the spread of the disease than other voluntary measures. And that's what all these red states are pushing because they're for freedom. I go on. This is from Newsweek. The peer-reviewed study was published in the European Journal of Clinical Investigation on January 5th and analyzed coronavirus case growth in 10 countries in early 2020. The study aimed to analyze the effect that less restrictive or more restrictive measures had on changing individual behavior and curbing the transmission of the virus. The researchers used a mathematical model to compare countries that did and did not enact more restrictive lockdown orders and determined that there was, and this is from the study, quote, no clear, significant, beneficial effect of more restrictive measures on case growth in any of the 10 countries. You know what that's called, gang? What's that called? What do we Neanderthals call that? That's called science. But don't tell that to the ever goalpost moving Dr. Fauci, right? Fauci must be Latin for goalpost moving, okay? Fauci, in response to Texas and Mississippi, he said, here's what he said. Let me get his quote here. It's just inexplicable why you would want to pull back now. I understand the need to want to get back to normality. We want to get back to normality, but you're only going to set yourself back if you just completely push aside the public health guidelines. That's my best Fauci. I'm working on it. Now, the writer of this piece, Libby Emmons, she responded beautifully to Fauci. And listen to what she wrote. What Fauci and the entire Biden administration are missing are two key factors that make their positions on lockdowns and masking entirely irrelevant. That's why I like this article. I love the words she chooses. It's not that Biden and Psaki and Fauci are unreasonable, they are now increasingly becoming irrelevant. And that's what we want to do. We want to make Washington, D.C., particularly under Biden, more and more irrelevant. That's our goal over the next 2 years. So she goes on. The case, hospitalization, and death counts due to COVID in lockdown states is comparable to those in non-lockdown states. California and Florida are about the same, even though California is an incredibly young state, while Florida's population is more than 20% geriatric. If California, which has been extreme in their lockdown and masking rules, cannot manage to contain the virus, then there is no argument that lockdowns are effective. And that's precisely what this study in the European Journal of Clinical Investigation found. It's exactly what they found, that there is no difference in caseloads between those who engage in very severe lockdown mandates and those who take more voluntary measures like masks and social distancing. Then she goes on. Additionally, there are American lies we're talking about on both sides of the lockdown debate. So on both sides of the lockdown debate, we're dealing with American lies. On the one side, on the one hand, Americans are getting sick and dying due to COVID. On the other, Americans are out of work, unable to care for their families, losing their homes, committing suicide, and being denied an education. You've got two victims here. It's not just one. There's two sets of victims. There's those who get sick and who potentially die, and there are those who are out of work, unable to care for their families, losing their homes, committing suicide, and being denied education. And this is how she concludes it, if lockdowns don't work, as they appear entirely not to, then keeping the economies of our states closed on the off chance that if we all comply, that compliance will be effective is not a logical position. And so she concludes, people will not comply anymore. We're done complying. We cannot press Americans into subservience to government fallacies any longer. So Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida knows this plainly, and the atmosphere in the state is gloriously open and lifelike. I just talked to a good friend of mine who just came back from Florida. He was in Florida just on a vacation with his wife, and he was like, it's a different world out there. There's still masks. People are still wearing masks, but it just doesn't have the oppressive state that other states have, right? Particularly blue states. It doesn't have that feeling that you're going to get beaten up, that you're going to be socially outcast if you don't have a mask on. So it's thoroughly voluntary, and you can breathe in Florida. The article goes on. DeSantis said at CPAC, quote, every Floridian has a right to earn a living, citing the statistics on COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. Florida got it right, and the lockdown states got it wrong. Beautiful. Texas Governor Abbott said on March 2nd that effective next Wednesday, all businesses of any type are allowed to open 100%. That includes any type of entity in Texas. The mandated lockdown is over. New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo, touchy Cuomo, clawing Cuomo, who was given emergency powers by the state legislatures that they are now trying to claw back, has given no real indication of when widespread reopening would be permitted to happen. Instead, he metes out allowable capacity percentages and floats plans for vaccine passports. California Governor Gavin Newsom, who presides over the state with some of the most rigid lockdowns and highest deaths, has called the Texas governor's plan absolutely reckless, though his efforts have been no better. And when you factor in the effects of the restrictions, they've actually been far worse. Americans no longer have the time for these elitist leaders who don't even follow their own mandates and restrictions. They no longer have the patience to watch their children, businesses, and families suffer under the weight these orders. And this is the way she summarizes the whole thing. It's so good. The more the Biden administration tightens its grip, the more states will slip through its fingers. Or I think you could better say that the more red states will slip through its fingers. The federal government should work with the governors, with the American people to reopen the nation, not continue to demand adherence to mandates and orders that have proven to be ineffective, and not never-ending adherence to mandate and goal-moving adherence to mandates and orders. It's a great article. I couldn't recommend it more. Again, written, it's over at the Post Millennial, written by, where's her name? Libby Emmons, Emmons. If you want to check it out. This is amazing stuff. And I think it's very much related to the rise of sanctuary states that we're seeing more and more in the United States today, where our nation is basically being bifurcated. It is balkanizing along red states and blue states, along what are urban areas versus rural areas. But what we're finding is that more and more red states are actually rising up and creating administrative and legal walls to separate its citizens from the oppressive measures coming down the pike from Washington, D.C. And so this is really, really exciting to see. I think this is just a further evidence of this ongoing rising up of sanctuary states. And some of us we're going to have to move at this point, because obviously a lot of blue states, their government has fully abdicated their responsibility in managing this COVID outbreak, because Texas, Florida, Mississippi, they're all coming out and say we're done. We've had it. South Dakota, North Dakota, more and more say we're done. We've had it. It's time to get back to normalcy here. We're going to talk more about this as we go along, but we're going to have to move it on to our other platform. And that's where we're going to have our special guest tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, March 4th. Chris Cox, founder of the Bikers for Trump. He's going to be with us for an hour or so. And you are invited to attend and ask him any question that you like. Like I said, we hold these Q&As every Monday and Thursday night, and we have some of the most exciting leaders in the new conservative movement going on all over the world, and it's exclusive for our Insiders Club members. If you're not an Insiders Club member, no problem. Just click on that link below. Right now, just click on that link below, sign on up. You get your first week absolutely free, no obligation. You can cancel anytime, and you can ask Chris your questions. We'd love for you to stay, obviously. You're going to love the fellowship with thousands of patriots all over the world. You're going to love chatting with Dick Morris next week, Sebastian Gorka the following week. You're never going to have an opportunity like this to sit down and talk with some of the biggest and brightest leaders of the new conservative patriot movement out there. So our Insiders Club is your backstage pass to having direct access to these leaders. So make sure to click on that link below, become an Insiders member, get your first week absolutely free, and I will see you tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, live Q&A with Chris Cox of Bikers for Trump. All right, guys. See you tonight. God bless.